Good morning. This is the House Appropriations Committee. It's Thursday, May 14th, 2026. It's about 10:40 in the morning, and we have a bill, which we have folks from Ledge Council and Joint Fiscal and the Committee on Education with us. So that is great. Just before we get started, I just want to say a couple of other things. If you haven't already heard, Senate Finance passed out the education bill late yesterday afternoon. It is in Senate Appropriations today. They are supposed to pass it out of Senate Approach this afternoon. And then it would be on Note 4 and it'll be on next week.
Yeah.
The Ed Committee had a 3-3 vote and it went to Senate Finance and it got committed to or transferred to or whatever to Senate Finance.
So can anyone explain that to me, Scott, or anybody? Can you explain to me what happens when there's a bill that gets passed out in the Senate at 3-3? Then other things happen to the bill. So the policy portion of the bill is in the ether and.
Well, the whole bill got passed to Senate Finance, and we'll ask Beth St. James because I bet she knows all of this, but it did pass out of Senate Finance 5-2. So there was an actual, clear vote, but yeah. So Beth, why don't you come to the table, Beth?
Yes.
And maybe you can fill us in on this before we go to this bill. You're all right with that. Do you have enough time for us to chat with us about this for a minute?
Yes.
Should be up to us all to hear this, so.
Beth St. James, Office of Legislative Counsel. The Senate Education Committee never took a formal vote if they were relieved of the bill.
Okay.
The bill was recommitted to Finance. Finance passed it out with the work of the Senate Education Committee as part of a strike all. So I do not believe it will be going back to Senate Education.
So by Senate rules, they can take it from one committee and put it in the other?
Well,
I am not their parliamentarian, but that is what happened.
so they were relieved of the bill as opposed to voting it
So
out.
they could have given it to Fish and Wildlife or transportation or something like that.
If
to get
the
a
body agreed, I suppose.
I am not their parliamentarian.
I would think that Bloomer would say this is not germane to Fish and Wildlife.
I use that just as it's not germane to finance if there's no policy to finance. So, but I'm not a senator, so let's not.
That's the facts of what happened.
Correct.
And that's what we need to know. And now it's in Senate Appropriations, and I bet you'll be spending your afternoon there.
Correct.
Yes.
Can you give us a facial gesture that would give you an idea of what?
A rather large mortgage, so I would prefer not to. I keep my job.
Fair enough.
All right, so we are talking about an act relating to provision of pre-K education in geographically isolated school districts, and we have also Rep. Quimby, or maybe a geographically isolated school district, or year one.
Live there.
Okay, so to talk if we have policy or like why did we do this questions, Beth will be here. So thank you for joining us as well. And I guess everybody's a Beth today in our committee, so welcome everybody. So is the whole thing one page?
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy read.
Do you want me to share my screen?
Yes, why don't you share your screen? And John, this is yours.
I have sharing capabilities. Oh, no worries. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have S-214 is passed by the Senate. Neither ways and means, nor your education committee made any changes to the Senate version.
Okay.
So you have the as passed by the Senate version. S-214 is an act relating to the provision of pre-K and geographically isolated school districts. It is an amendment to section 829 in Title 16, which is the pre-K statute. This is it. Those 3 asterisks on line 7 represent the entire statute. This amendment makes no changes to current law other than adding new language, which starts on line 8, adding a subdivision I, which reads, notwithstanding any provision of law to the contrary, the any K-choice school district may provide pre-kindergarten education to eligible pre-kindergarten students by paying tuition pursuant to this section to one or more pre-kindergarten programs operated by a public school in New Hampshire that is located in a school district within 25 miles of the Vermont border. The Essex North Supervisory Union shall be responsible for administering enrollment procedures and managing pre-kindergarten tuition payments pursuant to this section and state board rules. The superintendent may apply for and receive a waiver from the Agency of Education and Agency of Human Services of any rule provision that is impractical for the NEK Choice School District or the New Hampshire program by demonstrating that a substantially equivalent provision is offered. And this would take effect on July 1, 2026.
And so we're doing this because.
I'm going to defer to Rep. Quimby a little bit.
Sure. That would be great. And then why do we have it would be the other question, which maybe Betsy can answer. Or we'll have joint fiscal, we'll have.
Yeah, and you feel free
Ezra telling us about
feel
that.
free to throw to me if you feel like you're getting out of your lane, so.
So
Fair.
why are we doing this? So the NEK Choice School District, because this is specific just to that school district, is a non-operating school district. It has absolutely no schools at all. So all of their students in K through 12 are educated through public tuition. And for some of those towns along the New Hampshire border, they tuition their students to schools in New Hampshire because it's just the most convenient, it's 10 minutes away instead of an hour away. So they already tuition K through 12 or have that option. So this is adding the ability for them to, if they so choose, tuition their pre-K. There is a Head Start pre-K program in Gilman. There's one in Island Pond. And the public school, Canaan, has a program, but it's a pretty large geographic area, and that may not be the most convenient place. If you are in your car have your third grader and you're going to Lancaster, New Hampshire, it just is more convenient to take your pre-K student as well.
So it's kind of a carve out because of a special unique geography thing.
It's unique geography.
Yeah.
Very unique
And a
situation.
non-operating school district, and that still has a superintendent?
Yes, you still have to have a board and and it's it's part of the Essex North Supervisory Union.
Okay.
This school district
Okay.
is part of Essex North Supervisory Union,
It
which
is.
includes Canaan. Then that's why Essex North Supervisory Union would be the one administering.
Okay, okay. People understand that pretty well?
Right,
Marty?
but I do have a question regarding this very last sentence.
I thought so. That's what I prepared in my floor presentation.
Well, would you please explain it?
So for example, requirements in Vermont to have a Vermont licensed early educator or to follow the Vermont early learning standards. Well, if you're in New Hampshire, it may not be a Vermont licensed teacher. It may not be the Vermont early learning standards because you're in New Hampshire, not Vermont. So that would be substantially equal provision, but you would need the waiver because this teacher doesn't hold a Vermont license because they're in Lancaster, New Hampshire, they hold a New Hampshire license. Would be a couple
Does that
examples.
also mean it could go to a private?
No, that was the question I had when this was presented, because our pre-K program in Vermont, the parent can choose whether they go to a public school pre-K or a pre-qualified private provider pre-K. So I wonder why that wasn't an option.
Right.
Mainly because of the tuitioning fees. Act 73, we can no longer send tuition out of state unless it's a public school. We don't tuition to independent schools outside of or providers outside of state anymore. They have to be a public school. And actually, Human Services took most of the testimony that there is capacity. And we had some testimony that the public school pre-K has plenty of capacity for these.
Great. I can't imagine.
So they're sending their
kids.
They're sending their older children to a public school if they are. And it's not that many students. I think the JFO number is maybe up to 14, 3 and 4 year olds. The Essex North Supervisory Union superintendent came into our committee and testified and said 5 kids, maybe. You don't know who might take advantage of it, but it opens an opportunity. And some of the numbers, that I looked at, Vermont's a leader in pre-K education nationally. But when you look across counties, Franklin and Grand Isle counties have over 60% of their eligible students. Wyndham, Windsor, Chittenden have 93+%. Essex County, only 11% of those that qualify.
Another thing, yeah.
It's like, this is a door that may provide another opportunity for these children.
So for the whole generation I've served in this building, I've never had to deal with education across the border and how that works. Can you just give me a very quick rundown of what it means to be on the borders where you can send kids to New Hampshire? I mean, I know down in Bradford, there's schools along the eastern coast that does this. So I can picture this if I have a pre-K student and, if I'm in a school district that goes from Canaan to wherever, that it's easier to go across the river. I get that. But what happens in K through 12 if you're tuitioning all the students out? If it's just, how do the students, where do they go to school? How do they get there? And I just want a shorter version of it because all I have is Buell's Gore to compare it to, and that's only like 6 students.
So the NEK Choice School District, currently, the last number I heard is there's 40 different schools in that geographic region. Most of them in Vermont. Some go to Lunenburg, some go to Canaan, Island Pond, Concord. Some go to Lancaster, New Hampshire. It's really where the family lives in that large geographic region. And it has to be an approved school, a Vermont public school and approved independent school, which St. Johnsbury Academy might be a school we go to.
Historic academies are fine.
And we used to have some New Hampshire schools, approved independent schools in New Hampshire, New York, Massachusetts. Students that are there currently, there's a glide path for them to continue. But moving forward under Act 73, it has to be a public school that's out of state.
So these folks, I'm always going to assume that people are going to pick the school closest to them, but
Where they
that's not
work.
always the case. They might choose to travel 30 miles back and forth if that's parental choice. That's parental choice within the program that exists.
And they still could under this. I mean, it doesn't say they have to send their pre-K students, it's just that they may.
Right.
So if they happen to work in New Hampshire, which a lot of people in that area do, because it's the closest place with industry, I'm on my way to work. I'm not going to drive 30 miles the other way to go to Island Pond to drop off my 3-year-old and then drive an hour to work in Lancaster, New Hampshire, and then in the middle of the day have to go back and pick them up because it's a half-day program. So they just don't enroll them. Or they don't work. So.
And I think that's the point I wanted to get to was on the low uptake is this feeling of, because we talk about Act 73 has been about, oh my God, you're going to force us to close. And we know we're all working out that situation. But the notion that this particular county or this area only has an 11% uptake of preschool programs because of the distance
For
needed.
a variety of reasons.
For a variety of
So it's
reasons.
expanding the options for people, which
giving
is,
parents
will hopefully increase uptake, which will be better for the kids and the parents.
The kids.
Lynn?
Yeah, I was just going to address the cross-state issue. We have in our area, a lot of students in Alberg, in the
Yeah.
islands, go over to East Clinton in New York. They can either go to there, or they can go to NYU, or they can go to BFA, or in some cases, it's just more convenient.
Mhm.
Some people consider it a better education to go to Northeast Clinton, which is a public school.
But not
But they can't go to
Canada.
Canada, right?
Used to be able
Well, you
to
used to go to Stansted. Yeah.
Stansted.
You were to, yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
until this last year, you could go to, we had people up in
A
the
lot of
Newport
people went
area.
up there from the Northeast Kingdom area.
Great. Well, this is really helpful to understand. And so, Ezra, do you want to come up and tell us why this come to appropriations? You're welcome to stay there.
All right, good morning, everyone. Ezra Holden, Joint Fiscal Office. Would you like me to share my screen?
If it's easy, that's fine. I'm mostly doing it for, the folks at home who are listening to us, but sometimes it's helpful.
Well, it is pretty easy, so I'll just.
Okay, great. Thank you.
There we go. All right, so as you heard, it's a pretty short bill. Essentially, this would allow the NEK Choice School District to pay tuition to a public school in New Hampshire for eligible pre-K students. And I believe, as you heard from Beth St. James, they would have to be within 25 miles of the Vermont border. So Joint Fiscal Office, we estimate that this bill would increase education fund expenditures beginning in fiscal year 2028. The reason it's fiscal year 2028 is most school districts, including NEK Choice, already have their budget for fiscal year 2027. So any new expenditures would have to be borne within that existing budget. And then fiscal year 2028, that's when budgets could be built with additional expenditures. So we estimate that each year up to 14 students would gain access, and that is considering ages 3 and 4. That's based on feedback from DCF as well as individuals in the field in NEK Choice. But it's up to 14 students. Pre-K, you have to choose to enroll your child, so it could be 0 students. Take advantage of this, could be up to 14. So we just went ahead and settled on 14 to try and be a little conservative with this estimate. And so estimated maximum fiscal impact would be about $60,000, which in the education fund, that's de minimis.
Yes. So I just did a little math and it's about $4,286 per student. I mean, is that how you got there?
Yeah, so that is, so these students, their tuition rate is within the pre-K statute.
Right.
And for fiscal year 2027, it's about $4,100.
Okay.
And it tends to increase via NIPA every year. So
Right.
we inflated that by 3% to fiscal year 28. Yeah.
So that it's just helpful to understand the logic behind it.
And do we think that this was, this is back to Representative Quimby, I think, but was this an oversight? Or was it just something that hadn't existed and?
It has not existed. I mean, from what I've heard, it's about 5 years of advocacy from this area trying to get this done. Pre-K is not required. You know, parents choose. I mean, kindergarten really isn't either. But when tuitioning was considered pre-K, I think it's not required for parents to enroll in pre-K. There are programs, as I said, in this area. There's one in Gilman. When the Gilman Public School closed, it became a Head Start program. They repurposed the building. And there is one in Island Pond and there is one in Canaan. But for some families, that just isn't
No, that's
convenient.
fine. I just-
But yeah,
I just want to make sure that it's.
we've been trying to get this done for a while in that area, saying, well, could this be an option as well? And how pre-K is funded, it's not really a tuition model in the same sense. Someone.
No, but it's been in,
Yeah.
it's been in our conversations, maybe not in this, I mean, I'm sure it has in this committee, but I'm sure just all around about expanding childcare, it's expanding pre-K, the use of private, public, that's been a conversation in this building for a lot of years. So I'm glad that it's finally being addressed and it's only this, that the addition of this is de minimis. And then in 5 years, we'll find out if you're going from 11% to at least 50%, which would be ideal.
Yeah. So I'm still not entirely clear. So that I see the ed fund part, but there's not a general fund piece to this. Is there that I'm missing? So I'm not sure. Do we know why it actually came to us? Just because ed fund stuff does?
That's St. James Office of Legislative Counsel. I am also not your parliamentarian.
I know. I didn't know if you had an easy answer, but that's okay. The more people who lay aside out of a board hits the floor, the easier, I guess, in some other way. I'm sure there may be some, and unless Ezra, you have any thoughts on that?
There's no general fund impact.
Right.
This went through Senate Appropriations as well as Senate Finance, so
Okay.
it's come through all the
Pretty
committees.
sailed through everybody unanimously, I imagine. Anybody have any questions on this bill?
Of course, they could have, may have a reputation. They might rather have us talk about it here than on the floor.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, just a quick question. So Health Ed did nothing with this, right?
We voted it out 10-01.
Didn't change
We
anything.
did not change a single word of this. This is, we're finding it favorable. We did not amend the Senate version at all. I did present to Ways and Means, last week, and it was 911, if I recall, correct? I should probably have it written down, so it's
I
911.
I was thinking more about the motion.
911.
Right, about the motion. So nobody's made any changes since it came
No
over. from the
changes.
Senate.
So
So
it's
it's,
passed the Senate, that's all.
it's passed the Senate.
So I'd have to go back to the Senate
Okay.
afterwards.
We need to know the motion for a vote, so that's why we're asking these questions. So does anybody on the committee have more questions about this? If not, I'd entertain a motion to support S-214 as passed by the Senate. Wayne, John. Okay. Not John Wayne, but Wayne John. You never know which way one of things you're gonna go in. So if I have no other questions, the clerk is ready. You may call the roll, please.
Representative Blumenle,
Yes.
Representative Dickinson,
Yes.
Representative Feltes,
Yes.
Representative Kancetska,
Yes.
Representative Roche,
Yes.
Representative Wiki,
Yes.
Representative Squirrel, yes, Representative Stevens,
Yes.
Representative Yakoni,
Yes.
Yes.
10-0-1.
Okay. And John, I believe you have pre-K through 12. It's yours. You want a lot to say. Thank you all for coming in. Good luck this afternoon. Beth,
Thank you very much.
very close to the finish line. Thank you, Rep. Whitney, for coming in. Appreciate it.
I've never been here before, so.
Really?
Well, I
The
do.
word, and it's a good place, yeah.
So committee, we're starting to get bills from House Ways and Means now. We've gotten 3 bills. We have a bill that's, we're kind of vacation's sort of over in some cases. Tomorrow at 1:30, we're gonna hear a bill. We assume it's gonna be 1:30. The plan for the floor tomorrow is we're gonna meet at 9:30 as usual, do all of our normal business, the calendar, and then recess until 1 o'clock because the Senate may be sending more things over to us. And so that gives the speaker a chance to redistribute bills before we leave and have them. So we may be getting more bills then, I don't know. We're getting a couple more from Ways and Means. I think we have 2 bills. We don't have next meetings on here, but I think Tuesday afternoon, we're gonna have a couple more bills. Tomorrow, we're doing the DMV bill. There's a miscellaneous ag bill we're gonna do on Tuesday. And one other bill that I can't remember that we just got yesterday. When I find out from Autumn, I'll let you know what that is. So, and there'll be a couple more from Ways and Means after that. So next week is going to be a bit of bill week as well as, moving along committee of conference now that the ed bill is out of, the committees, it'll be on the Senate floor. So I think we'll all learn after tomorrow. Well, I guess it won't be till after how close it is. What I'm hearing from people is that the Senate's has mostly stayed along with what the House version. So there may be agreement of both bodies on how and the more agreement there is, the less time we have to take in a committee of conference. And last year's committee of conference was a bit sideways with new things brought in and all of that. So I think if there's more agreement, there'll be less of that happening. And,
Except
we're,
for the deadlocked out of the policy.
well, there's that, but there are more people now involved than that policy committee. So.
I've just never experienced that.
I know, it's very interesting. Well, it just shows how hard it is to do anything with education, changing education.
So should we be bringing?
Keep your eye on the Senate calendar and, you can talk to your own senators. Came out of Finance 5-2.
We're in here, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. So we're here taking testimony at 1:30.
Yes, tomorrow.
And the floor could be meeting in the afternoon too?
The floor is meeting at 1 o'clock. We're recessing, we're meeting and doing all of the calendar business, or as much as we can, Friday morning.
They'll let us leave though at 1:30 to do our thing.
Yeah, well, or we may, if it's close to the end, yes, I mean, the goal is that we'll do the regular business in the morning, recess to 1 o'clock, more bills will have come over from the Senate, they'll dole them out and we'll adjourn and then we just.
Okay, they're doling out as opposed to.
Right, unless there's something that's going on tomorrow morning that requires us to continue to go in the afternoon, in which case we'll just adjust as needed in the afternoon. So I can't give you I can give you our hopes, Dave, but I can't tell you
You
exactly.
think, if you were telling somebody to pick you up, you think 4 o'clock would be smart? Safe?
I think you could do it before then if you wanted to. I mean, if we have our bill, I would think by 3 o'clock you'd be fine.
Okay.
She
Thank you.
says.
I know these are hard things to.
We are also going to be starting on the floor next week. We are starting to meet twice a day, I think at 10 and 1.
And 1
And 1
and then
o'clock.
perhaps later.
And maybe later if we need to, because, now we're like actually gearing up for real end of session. There will be token sessions. I think there's a token session this Monday. Chair Wood's gonna come in from Waterbury and do that one. And so there'll be those kinds of things will be happening, and we'll start to enter our hurry up and wait time also. So it feels like it now is beginning to feel like we're gearing up for end of session. I wouldn't have said that a week ago, or even 3 days ago, but I feel like we are kind of moving along. And the goal of the House is to be out of here before the end of May. It would be lovely if it was next week, but I'm not sure that's physically possible.
Might be a little
But
optimistic.
I don't think we want to
If
be.
the education bill's on the floor. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
If we concurred, or they concurred with us, it could be all done.
I can feel
I don't think that's.
a little.
Why don't we go offline, Scott? We'll be back live tomorrow.